Now, the South African Islamic community has come a long way towards accepting the reality of HIV and AIDS amongst its members. I recently spoke with Faghmeda Miller, the first Muslim woman in South Africa to publicly disclose her status as a person infected with HIV. She is also the founder of an HIV awareness organization called Positive Muslims. Ms. Miller talked about how she got infected and the challenges she faced in the first few years of contracting the disease.
I was married for 7 months and then my husband passed away. Only after he died, I myself became ill. I had a lot of opportunistic infections, and at that time, even doctors were not very much aware of HIV and AIDS, and I myself, I knew nothing about AIDS, apart from the fact that if you do have it, then you will die.
How was the reaction, particularly of your family members and others who knew you, when they discovered or you revealed that you're HIV positive?
Well, revealing my HIV status was not very easy because, number one, being Muslim and being a woman, it was very difficult to, talk about my HIV status. So I kept it to myself for a very long time, because I feared that people would reject me, and I just sort of thought that I will too just die like a lonely death. But it's only after I received counseling on a regular basis that I discovered that, there is life after HIV, you can live a long time. And in fact, the doctor gave me a lifespan of 5 to 10 years. And I thought, oh, okay, so I can live with HIV. So after, some thoughts in that, I disclosed to my family, my immediate family, and they were very supportive and said that I don't have to tell anyone else. But after a period of 2 years, I felt that, people out there needed to know more about HIV, because not just Muslims, but everyone around me was dying because of this pandemic. And I just felt I needed to make a change. I needed to do something. And that is the reason why I disclosed my HIV status.
Why really was it such an issue among Muslims to reveal your HIV status?
I think number one, because, of the kind of lifestyle we are supposed to lead. Like, you're not supposed to have, for example, sex outside marriage, or rather before marriage. But for me, like I always tell my people, but I wasn't even married when I contracted HIV. I waited, but I contracted HIV. So it's also in that way, it's rather difficult for me to talk to people and tell them, I waited, but it still happened to me. And my religious leaders led me to believe at that time that, number one, it was a curse from God. You must have done something wrong. It's a punishment, and you're going to die. But like I said, with the help of counseling, I realized that they are wrong. It's not true. So I sort of challenge them, I sort of tell them, but where in the Quran does it state, that it's a curse, because I know God is most oft forgiving, most merciful. He forgives you no matter what you do. You just need to reach out. But obviously it wasn't that easy as I'm telling you now. I went through a real tough time, I can say. But today, 18 years later, I have the full support of my religious leaders.
So, Faghmeda, share with us how your life has been for that entire period of 17 years?
18 years.
18 years.
Yeah.
How have you lived and, ended up looking as healthy and beautiful as you do today?
You. Well, number one, again, I think I've been living this long with this virus because, number one, I have the full support of my family, and that counts a lot. Yes, there's still a lot of stigma and discrimination attached to being HIV positive. But for me, having that support of my family, and also I think just making sure that, I try and lead a healthy lifestyle myself by taking my medication, eat properly, and just try not to stress too much.
And very quickly, tell me about what you're doing yourself to help others.
Okay. I have started a care and support group for Muslim people living with HIV. it's called Positive Muslims, where we sort of also help them to overcome their own HIV status. And I also work at the University of Western Cape, where I do the same thing. I run a cane support group, and we do awareness on campus, informing students about HIV and AIDS.